your publication. I think I read most of your publication because we are in the same field. And I always enjoy reading them. They are very clear, very organized. And you served for 10 years as the chief editor. So can you tell us personally, when you want to write a paper, what is your strategy?
So, I do tend to start to some extent with the end. I want to have a very clear view, but both for myself, but also for my grad students, since I do always have my grad students take the lead if it's a paper that they're a co-author on. With what are the conclusions? What are we really at the end of the day trying to claim that we have done or demonstrated that was not previously known within the field? And, to build back from that, what the story is to get to those conclusions. And so, writing the materials and methods, that's easy. Anybody can do that. Even to some extent, describing the results, that's pretty easy.
Yes.
But the key to me is, what are your 2 or 3 real conclusion points that you want to make? And then how do you go back to the beginning to set the stage that motivates the work so that you can clearly explain those conclusions in a way that when people read the paper and they get to the end, it's almost obvious. Yes, of course, for the first time you showed A, B, and C, and these are the implications of those conclusions. I think papers that often go wrong are ones where some nice studies were done. It's not that they didn't have some good experiments and some good ideas of what methods to use, but they didn't really have a story to tell with a really strong conclusion at the end. And so you get to the end and you sort of say, oh, now what? What was I really supposed to take away from that work that is important and is not just, somebody else did it and I did it again, or I did it again, but with a tiny little twist that you sort of read and you say, well, okay, it's technically valid, but why should we publish it? And as the editor of the journal, we were always looking at, we got way too many papers to publish. So for every paper, we always ask the question, why should we publish this? What is in this that is both appropriate for our journal, but just even if not for our journal, how does it contribute to the body of knowledge? And if you can't make that point clearly in your own papers, you can't expect the reader to fill in those things. You want to be as explicit as you can, and then if the reader doesn't get it, but don't put it on them to piece it all together. You should have those conclusions in mind, and everything in the paper should lead to those conclusions. And if it doesn't, don't put it in the paper. Maybe it'll come in some other manuscript. Maybe it'll never get published, but that's okay. I'd much rather be streamlined and effective in supporting our conclusions than have all of these side stories that when people get to the end, they're just confused about what we were trying to accomplish. So.